Hey there, happy Friday there. It's me, Curiosity Trader. Hopefully having a great trading week. Filming this on a Friday. I'm going to be out of town this weekend and away from the screens. It's going to drop for Sunday. Just a Sunday scan. I'm going to go over some stuff in the overall markets. This past week of trading and things I'm watching. And the overall market sentiment, in my opinion. Alright. Again, as I always say, these are really geared towards those who are learning about the stock market. I'm not going to sit into that I'm profitable or a millionaire trader. No, all these are geared towards those who are learning, and hopefully y'all enjoy this, and hopefully we can learn something. You can learn something from my strategy. All right. But first and foremost, let's just talk about something I want to go over. I saw this on Twitter from Lance this past week. The new Market Wizards is coming out, and everyone's been talking about Kulumagi, obviously a great trader. And I always say that you have to love doing this. In his tweet, he said, "It begs the most important question of all: when should a trader quit? When should one persevere?" And my answer has always been the same. This has to be your calling. Okay, I don't know who you are. I don't know what your goals are for this, but if you're doing this for the money, then you have to love doing it first. Okay, as I mentioned, I've been doing this for a little over 7 years now, 7 years and a half. And when I say doing this, I'm not mean trading. I mean studying the markets. And everyone has their own unique journey. Okay, and it has to be your calling. It has to be. And this is another great excerpt from him as well. He mentions that don't do it. I get a lot of people that ask me any advice for trading. I tell them the same thing. Don't even try. Because most of the time you will fail. Okay? Out of 100 people, I would say only about 2 will ever make it in this business with profitable, for being a positive expectancy in the long run. Only about 2. Maybe 3 or 5, possibly, out of 100. And that's just a risk you take. You don't know if it's going to be, you don't know if it's going to be worth it in the end. And that's what I said right here. Deep down, eventually all this will pay off. If you don't see yourself doing this in a decade without any guarantee of success, then why start? Many of the greats have one quality in common: grit, coupled with curiosity of their craft. And that's true. You have to think long term. Okay, from day one, as I mentioned, okay, I have never ever thought about giving up. Okay, and I knew this was going to take time, and you're going to see yourself evolve as a trader. And that's one of the most important things, not only as a trader, but as an individual. This game is going to teach. You're going to get to know a lot about yourself as a person doing this over X amount of years. It's going to take time, but you'll see things, patterns within yourself. And for the past, I want to show you something. I've shown this before, but I started this in 2017. I have a database of stock charts. For the past 7 years, every year I do one of these. This is in 2018, when I first began learning about stocks. I would track anything really, but this is really the COVID sector, and this is really what it takes, okay? It's great to see me evolve, thousands of charts. It's great to see me evolve as a trader. I mentioned that every year, I progressed, every year I got better. Every year I got better in some way, and I saw that. I saw that, and it takes time to find that, but you have to be obsessed with this. Same with me, tracking stocks in a database. You don't have to do this, but I just did it because I was curious and I was obsessed. I did this. This is the first day I ever started this. 2018, July 24th. Okay, and literally it looks looks dumb, right? But this is what I did for 2 years. Then you see yourself evolve to where I'm at right now. I have really one setup, two setup, really three setups. It's it. And you do it over and over again. But that's just the main point of that tweet is you have to ask yourself in the beginning, do I want to do this in 10 years? If you make no money in 10 years, would you still love doing this? And my answer has always been yes. I didn't start trading until about 4 years into it, and I don't regret nothing. Nothing was stopping me. It's just like I wanted to learn and be obsessed with it and absorb everything about the markets. And it led me to where I'm at right now. But one thing's guaranteed. I don't know who you are, but I've noticed in every Market Wizards book I've read by Jack Schwager, and every Market Wizard in there, is they eventually make it at some point. As Christian said, that he knew he was getting better because in the accounts he was blowing up his accounts. It took a lot longer for him to blow up his accounts. And he transformed his small account to tens of millions of profit. And I don't know who you are, okay? If you watch these videos, I'm trying to do something that's very hard, and I'm being transparent about it. And I'm not saying like I'm going to be the next Kulamagi, I think the best thing to do is always try to become better than the day before as an individual. But the reason why I do all of these is just to catalog my trading journey en route of becoming a potential elite trader. Because personally, I'm all in this thing. I started this when I was 18. I'm 26 now, and I don't have no regrets. People say you haven't made it by now, and that's another great thing. Like my parents always tell me, like, you've been doing it for a while, maybe it's time to give it up. But I don't let that stop me, because I'm thinking big picture here, and I'm finally having some success. And I know like there's always going to be roadblocks, nothing's ever linear. But if you really love doing this, if it's your calling in a sense, your why, you're going to find a way to make it. And I hope one day we look back on this video channel or even my YouTube page, I want to inspire anyone out there, not only in trading, but maybe in life, whatever your profession is. Failure is not a sign you're doing something wrong, okay? It's a sign that you're trying, all right? And if you love doing it, you're going to get back up, okay? And life happens, every time I try to fund my account, something always happens, but here I am in the game, and it's not a coincidence, my life's things are happening again. I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm not going to withdraw no money from my accounts. I'm just going to trade and do what I do best, what I love doing, okay? But that's my little mindset rant for this lesson. Is if you love doing this, you're going to be in this for the long haul. Believe me, you can change your life doing this. I've seen it. You've read it from other people. Kulamagi is one example. Okay? All it takes is one hot run to change your life forever. Alright? But let's just go over the trades which I took this past week. Not that many. Let's just first start off with, obviously, X and DU. Monday was not a good day. I woke up to this gapping down. As y'all know, I was long over the weekend. Now, this happens in trading. It's an offering. This setup is a 5-star setup. I would take this trade 10 out of 10 times. And the fact that I had an offering, it's my fault. I was too sized in too heavily. And it's always a risk, because as a stock, the only reason to become a stock is to raise money. And these piece of shit companies often raise money whenever the stock prices goes higher to obviously help their longevity of a company. So pretty much, I was long. I got a good long, honestly, but it just pretty much I could have, if I wanted to, sold, because the offering didn't happen until about 5 in the morning. So I had an opportunity to sell pre-market at 5 a.m. in a sense, but I was asleep. My fault. Even like at 6 a.m. I could have woke up and sold, but I literally woke up at like I saw it at 6:10 at $14, and I was like, holy shit! And I just got out. Even I think it was even lower. I got out, so that was a pretty big loss. Not again, it happens, and that's trading for you. Okay, this is a good setup. I was aiming for the high day break on the daily chart. Hot theme play, by the way. But pretty much I sold at $11. And again, my account, as I mentioned, was at $1,000. Okay, I'm checking with a small account, and this was roughly a $500 loss, $432, which was demoralizing. I'm not gonna tell you it wasn't. It was demoralizing, but I've been through this before, and like as a trader, like it can be demoralizing, right? But like I don't let it affect me. To me, it's just a trade. Like it's a setup. It was valid. It happens. Market happens. Move on. I don't let it like dictate the next trade. If that makes any sense. That's a very hard mindset to get into because all of us are like wired differently, and you have to be in a sense detached to get to that level. And the best way I would put it is to think in terms of odds and probabilities. Like think in terms of a series of 30 trades in a row. You know, if you have an excellent setup that you're going to come out with positive expectancy in the long run, where this setup would produce that result, but we happen to have an outlier with an offering, and I don't regret it. Yeah, I don't regret it at all. It happens, you know. It does suck though, losing almost half your account, and I guess going forward, you know, over the weekends, I just gotta size down, perhaps, not take too much risk. But it happens on that one, okay? It happens. Other than that, BLZE, I was aiming for an EP trade off the daily chart. Nice, it's still holding its ranges. Positive revenue growth. And always look for an EP. As I mentioned, stocks that are neglected, that gap up over the moving averages. Textbook, and I pretty much tried, as I mentioned, over this range break, and I did get long, but pretty much it stopped me out. With this setup, I call it a delayed EP. Opening range highs, low of days, stop, right? And I gave it time. I got long at 769. Gave it pretty amount of time here. Pretty much kind of anticipated it, in a sense. Kind of anticipated it to gap up, you know, because I didn't take part of this move at all. I pretty much waited, and I saw this nice spike here out of the open, and that's where I took my shot. Low of day was stop. In hindsight, you know, I should have. I got long right before it broke this breakout, and in hindsight, what I've been working on, I've been doing really well, is letting these break out, then hold that level, then get long, risking that prior level. But it's no big deal. It happened. Low of day is stop. So it's holding up really nicely though. This is what I always mention. Look at stocks that make a big move and hold their ranges. Okay, we talked about this numerous times on the channel. So I'm watching this one for next week. It's a ADR is 6.3%, so it's okay. But I'm watching it over 775 with conviction. On that one, again, I'm trading very small right now, so don't make fun of me. I think the best thing to do is trade small and go from there, okay? I'm adding more money. I'd have a 9 to 5, but I'm doing this. I'm in no rush. I don't do it for this money. I'm doing it for the setup. I'm doing it to help my trading, all right? But yeah, CRML, someone overtrading on that one. Pretty much the basic premise. Metal themes have been running this past week. Got long, kind of anticipated it, and it pretty much stopped me out. It's a bad trade, over trading on that one, but the setup's still valid. You know, I love this daily chart here, so it's just one of the bigger pictures. But I knew I was over trading. That happened. I took that trade pretty much right after BLZE, and I pretty much didn't overtrade. I recognize it. But what I want to talk about is RXT. Now this one is a 5-star setup, okay? EPs have been doing well lately, but I noticed a common theme is they're basing and they're having like a delayed reaction. Like I mentioned, I talked about, I'll go over the semiconductor themes in a minute, like on INTC, for instance. You know, you see a stock that gaps up, even HUT, but I think it's fading, let it base. but INTC is a perfect example. A stock that gaps up. Okay, remember, a definition of an episodic pivot is a stock that is neglected. Think of it like a movie, a change in the company, a positive outlook, a story stock. The best EPs are in themes. Right now we're in the semiconductor themes, AI, but you want fuel or rocket fuel, and always pay attention to volume. Okay, this has gone beautifully. Even off the EP from a couple last year, right there, but this is a beautiful move right here it's made, Then obviously hindsight 2020, get long off the moving averages. Then everyone's saying like off this move right here, if it gaps up, it's still an EP. It's gapping up over these ranges, and this is probably the best EPs out there, is the stocks that gap up over those ranges, in my opinion. And I pretty much nailed this. I called it. Didn't trade it because again I don't have a small account, so eventually though I will when my account goes larger. But this is the textbook EP, delayed EP, and pretty much the same premise on AMD is happening right now. Same exact thing. But I'll go with that in a minute. But which one did I trade? Not RXT. Which one was it? Was it RXT I traded? I don't know. Oh, yeah, RXT. RXT, same premise. Look left, former runner. Alright, former runner. And this is a, what is this? This is a semi-theme, AMD collaboration, 5-star. And here's one thing, okay? I'll talk about it in themes in a minute, and sector plays. Stocks can run a lot further than you think, okay? Get the word, I heard some say it can't go higher. Get that word out of your dictionary. It can do whatever the hell it wants, alright? But former runners can run again. Then I am an idiot. I'm not an idiot, but I have these pivot point alerts on my phone, right? I pretty much ignored it here for some odd reason. And obviously the EP day, I knew immediately. On my radar. Positive revenue, collaboration with AMD, and I took my shot. And respectively, it was a beautiful entry, which I got in. I didn't chase this up. Okay, I waited and I got in along this dip here, 375, risking low of day, 345, and this with these EPs, I'm aiming for ideally for a swing trade. As a swing trader, you have to be fine taking swings within your P&L, and don't look at your P&L whenever you're trading. Just trade the ticker. Don't trade your P&L, but I was very patient with this, very patient with this. And obviously I didn't expect this to pull back, once we had that top. I did not expect this to have a drawdown near the lows, because my stop is low of day. And what I was aiming for was like a base on VWAP or something, then to go high day or close near it and have another day higher. Pretty much like what happened today. That's what I was aiming for. But you always want to defend risk, always. So my strategy is at low of day, I cut the loss, and I did. No big deal. Then today, again, always keep an eye on former runners. Okay, just because you're out of a stock, right? You take a loss does not mean that you can't get back in. No, yes you can. Okay, you have to get back in. If the setup proves itself, you have to get back in. And that's what happened today. Okay, I saw this, alerted me, pivot point over $4, right? And I waited. I pretty much waited. I didn't chase this up to 440. I waited for the dip. I waited for the first dip. Because I didn't know, but I knew this was gonna go past this level because we're in a hot theme. AMD was gonna keep gapping up, and I didn't want to miss it, so I didn't chase this up. I pretty much got long right about here. I think 440. Again, pathetic size because my account got cut in half this week, but it's no big deal. It's all about trading. But I got long pretty much 435 is my initial long, risking this prior $4 area, not low of day, $4. And this is a 5-star setup. And I was not worried, but of course, like whenever it's at the top end, I was looking now here's one thing for me, as the stock goes higher, I always raise my stop. So regardless, I'll be break even. Regardless, like as it was going higher, I'm not using the prior $4 as my stop. It's gonna be a win no matter what. I'm raising my stop as the stock goes higher. But I want this to be a swing trade, and I'm happy that this held this level, because as it was going higher, my stop was 490. Okay, I don't put my stops at round points, like dollar levels, or like let's say I don't put my points like at $1 or like $1.25, $1.50, $1.75. I don't do that because a lot of people do put their stops there, and market makers see that and take it out. So I don't do it. I put it below it, and it held $5 to a T, and that's pretty much what I was aiming for on this trade. But it pretty much just faded. So this is a textbook trade, okay? And here's one thing I want to tell you. You don't have to, whenever you're in this, you see a setup, you define your risk, you enter, and you let the trade work for you. You don't have to be on the screen the entire time. You let the stock work for you, okay? And I don't use the 10-minute. I'm doing this for you. I use the hourly. Okay, the hourly is what I go off of whenever I'm trading at work. I manage it from work on my phone. I never use the 10-day. I used to for day trading. Very rarely. I do it for for the opening ranges on EPs. I use the 3-minute chart. But whenever I'm in a stock, I transition to the hourly because it's just too much. And here it's just clear. It's clear and defined. Got long, low of day. Well, I got long where? 439. And it was a great trade. And these pullbacks here on the hourly seem demoralizing, right? But you have to think in terms of big picture. And that's why I'm still in it. I'm still in it right now. And we'll see what happens. And this will not likely raise money because they're an actual company in a hot sector. So that's that. For the week, I'm still down, obviously. For the month, I'm going to be down. So it's kind of a shitty way to start the month. But it happens. It's trading. Okay, all it takes is one trade. But it's no big deal. You're learning. And I don't really care. I do care with the money. But if you have a small account, if I blow up, I'll go back to this point here. I'm not going to give up because I'll just save more money and do it again. Okay? That's a big thing. If I lose $3,000, it's a lot different than losing a freaking $25,000 account. If you lose $3,000, just save it up from work and do it again. But that's that. That's the only thing I'm in right now is RXT for a swing. But that's really all that happened this week. Let's go over some plays real quick. Again, focus on themes, okay? If you really want to make big money, you have to, in a sense, you have to follow the money. You have to follow the money, okay? And the way to do that is success leaves clues, as I say. Success leaves clues. The institutions will leave clues, and this is another mess up on my part. Here, I remember this day here. I got long here, good trade. Then after that, I took it off radar. Now look at it, we're in this AI bubble, not even a bubble. We're in an AI theme right now with semiconductors, all these. And I think we're just getting started here. But this is a sector leader, AMD, and 5-star. Okay, we always talk about this all the time. The best ones are going to offer numerous setups, okay, and never say a stock can't go higher. And I want you to use FinViz. It's free. Look at the themes. That's all you have to do is look at stock charts. Go to groups, technology, and go to by performance. This is what I do, and just go by year and go through all these. Not all of them, for instance. We could do it by volume, Like for instance, average volume. Well, let's just do over 2 million. Yep, 242, 272, whatever. But like, use your weekends to go through these, and you'll see patterns. Okay, you'll see similarities, and you'll see where is the money flowing. And right now, it's these AI theme plays, semiconductor theme plays, and I think we're just getting started. We're just getting started. Okay, we're just getting started, and it takes time to understand that, because like, for instance, like this is my penny stock scan. I have stocks on here. These are more like for day trading stuff, but like, I'm not saying like you can't day trade. Yes, you can, but like, it's just so random, and that's what I'm in. But like, you just have to get the randomness out of your trading, and I don't know who you are, but like, this stuff to me is just random. I'm not a day trader. I like trading setups, and the setups are on these big plays, theme plays, I call them, and the hell, that's what it takes, Let's see here. So like, RXT is one, MRAM is one, 5-star galore, 5-star opening range break. Congrats anyone who did get long. This one, after hours, it went even more. What is wrong with my charts? Oh, there we go. That was weird. Zoomed out. Even after hours, it went up. A high of $39. What a market we're in. Jesus. But congrats to that one. Now, everyone's trying to say, like, even like SanDisk, like, when everyone's trying to find the top on this thing, and you don't really have to find the top. There's always going to be range on the downside, but this is not going to be a parabolic short. It will, but I think this can go a lot higher. It's a lot different from like car. It's from the high of 847 to now 145. Because SanDisk is an actual company. It has a fundamental reason to be up. So it's not going to come straight down to like 1,000 in a day. I don't think so. That'd be kind of crazy. But there's always going to be buyers on that one. So just with this one, I mean, look, if you're trying to short this thing, just wait for the first trend change. We mention this all the time as well. Moving averages, okay? When the moving averages are rising, it's bullish. When they decline, that's whenever the momentum's waning. Okay, people got trapped right here. They got trapped right there. And in a sense, yes. I mean, yeah, it's declining, right? But it's not. It's basing. It's kind of a base day. But yeah, that's just my thought on that one. Let's go over these real quick because I don't want this to be too long. RXT, I'm long, semi-name. MXL, ideally trail 10 day, semi-name as well. NVTS, one I'm watching for sure, semiconductor name. Recent theme play. Look at this, linearity. We always focused on stocks to make a big move, right? Big move. Then it has sideways. And ideally, yes, today would have been a great entry day, for sure. I think it should have been for you if you got long. But that's to say, you can't still buy it if it breaks out of these ranges. Let it break out, base, and go again. But this is setting up really nicely. Okay, big linear move, pull back, big base. Ideally, I wanted to get tighter. Didn't have a nice range break. Over 1850, 19, big picture. If not, it'll likely fade. Poets, kind of a dead cat bounce play. Ideally, it's going to reject off this level 12 and short down. If not, higher. INTC, same thing pretty much, trail 10 day. They had positive news today with Apple about a chip deal, so that pretty much will let this to go higher. This is amazing. Trail 10 day. FCell, same premise as NVTS, although this is an energy theme play. Kind of a sector symmetry with BE, although BE is kind of fading. I'm still watching this one. It's setting up really nicely. Over $14 if it does with conviction. Yeah, I love how it's basing, big linear move on the moving average. Today would have been a nice entry day, but I'm watching it. Over 14 daily push if possible. AMD, same type of premise. This is having a nice breakout. Same type of move, with as INTC. Who says this can't go higher? Nice range break off the gap up EP off earnings. So Chilton Day, as well. If you have a small account, AMDL is a substitute for that one as well. This one really worked out really well. But same premise as like INTC. I'm not saying it's gonna go as high as. I'm not saying it's gonna go up from numerous days like this one, but I just want you to understand it's the same exact correlation setup on that one. Let's see what else. As well, like some aerospace themes have been going, but let's continue with the semiconductor. QCOM, 5-star on this one, and this is what I want to talk to you about. Okay, you have to wait for the pullbacks. They offer numerous entries. Okay, most of them do. Like these 2 red days based on 10-day, then have a nice range break after the little pullback, and that's your entry. That's your entry point. But these are really, you don't want to buy these now, okay? There's no setup here. You just troll today if you're in it. As well, let's see, is this the ETF? No, wait. QMCO, no, I'm not sure. This is Quantum. This is the backlist play I'm watching. Set it up nicely. But one I'm watching as well is as well, like for instance, one of the semi-theme plays is SMCI. This is likely a lagger play, but I'm watching it. Okay, this is a former runner. This has ran in the past, okay, numerous times. I'm not saying it's gonna do it again, but obviously it went higher. They had a reverse split 10 for 1, so it's even higher than that. Almost what is it? 10 for 1, so it's times by 10. So it's kind of the exact same premise as right here. I'm not saying it's gonna have a run, but it's pretty much what I'm seeing. That's what I'm leaning towards. So I'm watching it for potential continuation, and it's been neglected. They had earnings, so I'm watching it. Over $36 is the potential play on that one. That's probably one of my favorite ones to watch right now, along with like the aerospace theme has been running. RKLB 5-star galore, 5-star, 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 5-star. This is picture perfect. But as well, like with PL is basing really well. It's just so choppy. It's in a range. It's like a barcode, but I'm watching it. Over 40. Lunar had a nice range break today. Pretty much same type of setup as RKLB. As you can see there, Lunar had a nice one. I'm watching Lunar for potential daily break. Over $31. Ideally, like, yes, it can, but the best ones go and pull back and they grind higher. Pretty much like you see here. Then obviously it had that nice linear move to the highs. So I'm watching that one. Another aerospace theme. SATL. Much smaller priced. I'm watching that one. Over 775-ish. On that one, it's a backlist play. Other than that, that's really all. Just honestly, like, the market's been doing amazing the past really year. After this little pullback we had, we're at all-time highs in the overall markets, and who knows what's gonna happen. Just take advantage of this time that we're in. But that's really all. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Again, focus on follow the money. Okay, focus on moves that are making big moves, and just that's all you have to do. It's just stay focused. But yeah, that's really all. Just focus on setups. Just get the randomness out of trading. And like, don't listen. I rarely just listen to people on social media. I'm still learning from like elite people, but like I think I have what works for me already, and like I'm just trying to master these setups. And it took me quite a while to get there. And I think like if you're just getting started, you're not gonna know what to do, and that's fine. Your goal in the beginning is, I think, not in the beginning, but in life, is survival. You know, your goal is to survive, and the moment you try to like in a sense go off your risk management, that's where things go wrong. You know, but just focus on setups. Alright, focus on setups. But RXC, I'm long. 434 average. We'll see. Ideally with the setup, you know, you trail 10-day, and I know it's very hard, but like human nature wants us to lock it in, right? But remember, you're trading the setup, not your P&L. Remember that. All right. But other than that, have a great week. I will see y'all next weekend.